Welcome to Daily Papers, the podcast where we break down cutting-edge research into conversations you can actually understand.
Today, we have a fascinating paper that sounds like something out of a spy thriller. It's titled Lying with Truths, Open Channel Multi-Agent Collusion for Belief Manipulation via Generative Montage.
That is a mouthful, but the core idea is simple and, honestly, a little terrifying. What if I told you that you could convince someone of a total lie while only ever telling them 100% true, verifiable facts?
It sounds impossible. If every single thing you say is true, how can the final conclusion be a lie? Well, this paper shows that it's not only possible, but it's a very effective way to manipulate artificial intelligence.
Right, we're talking about large language models, or LLMs, the powerful AI systems that power tools like ChatGPT. More and more, these AIs aren't just waiting for our questions, they're being turned into autonomous agents, bots that can, for example, sift through social media to give us real-time news summaries.
And this is where the vulnerability comes in. The researchers found that these LLMs have a very human-like flaw. They have a deep, built-in desire for things to make sense, for a story to have a clear narrative. They want to connect the dots.
So they overthink. If an AI agent sees a bunch of disconnected facts, it will try its best to weave them into a coherent story, creating links and causal relationships that might not actually exist.
It's like if you see a person running out of a bank, and a second later you hear the bank's alarm go off. You'd immediately assume that person just robs the bank. But those two events could be completely unrelated. The runner could just be late for a gus, and the alarm could have been triggered by a technical fault.
Exactly. Your brain jumps to a conclusion to make the story work. AI agents do the same thing, and this is the weakness the researchers decided to exploit with an attack they call generative montage.
The name comes from a classic filmmaking technique. There's a famous experiment in cinema called the Kuleshov effect. A filmmaker took a shot of an actor with a neutral expression. When he showed that clip right after a shot of a bowl of soup, the audience said the actor looked hungry.
But when he showed that same neutral face after a shot of a child in a coffin, the audience said the actor looked sad and grief-stricken. The actor's face never changed. The meaning was created by the sequence of the images, the juxtaposition.
And that is precisely what this AI attack does. It creates a lie not with fake information, but with carefully arranging true information. The paper outlines a team of malicious AI agents designed to do this.
First, you have the writer. The writer's job is to go out and find a bunch of individual, truthful facts. For instance, let's say they want to frame an innocent person for a crime. The writer might find a true fact like, the lead detective on the case recently had a public argument with the suspect.
Then you have the editor. The editor is the real mastermind here. It takes all these little pieces of truth from the writer and figures out the most manipulative order to release them in. It's creating a cinematic montage of facts to guide the victim to a false conclusion.
And finally, there's the director. The director agent acts as a test audience. It looks at the sequence the editor has created and predicts whether it's convincing enough to fool a victim. If it's not, it gives feedback, and the writer and editor try again until the narrative is perfect.
Once they have their perfect sequence of truths, they use a network of fake social media accounts, what the paper calls Sybil publishers, to post these facts one by one in the exact right order.
So, how well did it work? The researchers set up a simulated social media environment and let their evil AI team loose on 14 different major LLM families, including models from GPT, Claude, and others.
The results were staggering. The attack succeeded over 70% of the time. The victim AI agents would see the series of true posts, connect the dots all wrong, and then confidently report the false narrative as fact.
And here's the most counterintuitive part. The study found that models with stronger, more advanced reasoning capabilities were often more susceptible to the attack.
It makes a weird kind of sense. A smarter AI is better at spotting patterns and making connections, which also means it's better at spotting patterns that aren't really there. Its strength becomes its biggest weakness.
But the danger doesn't stop with just one AI being fooled. The paper talks about a cascade effect. The victim AI, now fully believing the lie it constructed, doesn't just keep it to itself. It might be a new summarizing bot, so it reports its false conclusion to its users.
And it does so with high confidence, providing all the true verifiable facts as its evidence. So now other AI agents or even human users see this summary from what seems to be a reliable source and they believe it too. The lie gets laundered through the AI and comes out looking like a verified fact, which then spreads everywhere.
The researchers even tested this against downstream fact-checkers. For instance, they had a system where a group of AIs would vote on the conclusion, similar to how Community Notes works on X. Even with that, the deception worked over 60% of the time.
So what this paper reveals is a really critical blind spot in AI safety. We spend so much time building filters to detect fake images or false claims. But how do you filter for misinformation when every single piece of data is on its own completely true?
You can't. The attack isn't in the data, it's in the presentation. The authors argue that future safety systems can't just look at content, they need to analyze the context. Where did these facts come from? Who posted them? And in what specific sequence?
It's a whole new frontier for misinformation, a lie made entirely of truths. It's a sobering reminder that as AI gets more human-like in its reasoning, it also inherits some of our most human-like vulnerabilities.